Sometimes when we think about the Parisian woman, it's not just about the external appearance or the clothes. There's something else going on that maybe you can't quite put your finger on. For me, part of this is the idea of the relaxed Parisian woman. So that's what this video is about. I'm going to share some secrets of the relaxed Parisian woman that you can take with you wherever you are in the world. I'm Aleksandra Olenska. From your home and your wardrobe to your mind and social life, I help you with your stylish next chapter to step into your best life, because I know you're ready to rock life again. Part of the idea of the relaxed French woman is intertwined with the café culture of Paris. Café culture in Paris is really that quintessential part of Parisian culture, intertwined with literary history and artistic heritage. It's really an integral part of the character and history of Paris. And it's an integral part of socialising and relaxing like a French woman. But unlike in Emily in Paris, sitting for hours in the cafe isn't necessarily something that French women actually have time for. Parisian cafe culture and the idea of the relaxed French woman can be a lot more subtle than that. Many French women will stop at the cafe on their way to work, even sitting outside on the terrace and having a little espresso, because when you order a cafe in France, it generally means an espresso. The espresso in France is a little bit longer than you would get in Italy, but it's an espresso nonetheless. If you want a longer coffee, like an Americano, it's called a café allongé. Most French women will drink this black with no sugar, occasionally perhaps with a croissant dunked inside it. It's perfectly acceptable to dunk one's croissant or even pain au chocolat inside one's café allongé. If you are after a more milky coffee, something a bit more like a latte, then that would be a café crème. French women, like French men, will gather at the bar of a café in the morning. Coffee and croissants are cheaper if you stand at the bar, and it's just a quicker way to take your breakfast while still socialising. Part of the culture of France and of being a French woman is about socialising with others and making sure that you have that time every day to experience social connection. Part of living like a Parisian is also about choosing your neighbourhood, your arrondissement, very, very carefully. And when you go and take your coffee in the morning, or go and take your groceries, or go to the supermarket, you will get to know your community. I was warned this when I first came to Paris. Choose your arrondissement carefully, because it's very difficult to move once you've established yourself in a particular area in Paris. You'll get to know your local pharmacist, and everybody will help you. It's almost like a village within the city itself. And within that village, you'll have all of those people that will help you, that you see on a daily basis. So part of the relaxation of being a Parisian woman is having that supportive community around you, even if that's just having a chat with your fromagerie or your boucherie or your poissonnerie. It's really getting to know people, and they'll sell you the appropriate fish, they'll tell you what's the freshest meat, they'll give you a few odd-shaped free vegetables, for example. It's a really supportive community once you get to know people. Café culture also extends to after work. In fact, the French have borrowed the English expression after work that they say with a heavy French accent. So this is the idea of the time for apéritif. So after work, before dinner, you might just stop at a cafe or a bar and sit down with your colleagues or meet your friends for a glass of wine, maybe a little bit of charcuterie or cheese board, and you enjoy the sights and sounds of Paris. So part of that idea of relaxing like a French woman is taking the time to go and get your groceries from the market, the time to pick the appropriate vegetables every day. It's not like an American culture where you'll go to the giant supermarket and buy a whole car full of food and bring it home. Really, shopping for vegetables and fresh produce to make for dinner is a daily activity. You'll spend the time on picking your produce very carefully, even if that's just in the supermarket. But at this moment in the cafe too, it's about taking the time in the evening to savour the drink. When you take a glass of wine on a terrace in a cafe, the wine glasses are not the huge goldfish bowls that we get in London. It's a relatively small glass. The idea is that it's to be savoured and enjoyed. It's to enjoy the smells, the feeling, the texture in the mouth. It's really that culture of appreciation that makes you feel really relaxed from the inside outwards. And of course, this cafe culture of looking at others, of appreciating others, of savouring the sights and sounds of the city has got a long heritage in Paris. Walter Benjamin was writing about this at the turn of the century in his famously unfinished Arcades project. He wrote about the idea that the arcades, which were those new glass structures that you can find all over Paris, in places like Galerie Vivienne near Palais Royal, for instance, near me, there were these wonderful structures where there were cafes inside, all underneath a covered walkway. And the idea was that you could shop, you could also look at other people shopping and people watch and appreciate, again, the cultural heritage of fashion in Paris. And part of relaxing like a French woman is having that in-depth knowledge and confidence in your style identity. Because when you've got that lovely feeling of confidence in your own style, it's going to exude on the outside, and people in turn are going to appreciate that around you. French people of all ages, men and women, will stop and appreciate if you've made an effort with your dress. Hi everyone, I've got some really exciting news. I'm going to be launching an online group course, Effortlessly Parisian, Embrace the Art of French Living and French Style Mastery. This is a totally new way to work together and master the art of effortless French style for your home, wardrobe and lifestyle so that you feel refreshed, renewed, full of vim and vigour and joie de vivre. There will be discussions, demonstrations and one-on-one advice in a small group of like-minded women. The course launches very soon, so drop me an Instagram message saying oui if you're interested, and in the meantime check out my Effortlessly Parisian free guide below. See you soon! I think part of relaxing like a French woman is also about being confident in your cultural heritage. In Paris, as Walter Benjamin wrote about in the Arcades project, there are layers and layers and layers of historical meaning. You see it in the stores, in the sights and sounds of the city. It's almost like living in a museum. There's so much history around you, and there's that reassurance of one's history, of one's cultural heritage that many Parisians have, and there's a confidence that they have within their own cultural heritage that is then echoed in many of their home choices, in many of their outfits and their accessories pieces that have some sort of either personal significance to their own heritage or else the heritage of being a French person. I think that also comes through in the education system, where French people are often educated in literature and poetry and the arts because that's all around them. And I think there's a certain confidence that comes with knowing where you came from and knowing those cultural references that surround you. It's often said that in France there's a 35-hour working week, and so maybe we could say that part of relaxing like a French woman is working less than some countries do. It is a bit of a myth that French people only work for 35 hours a week. There are different contracts, and if you reach a higher level at work, then certainly you might well be clocking in way more than 35 hours. However, when French people work, there is an incredible focus. They're there to get the job done, and the idea is that you can still have an incredible life outside of your work. They're not living to work, they're working to live. And so the idea of a work-life balance is hugely important to French culture in general. And that leads to a greater relaxation within people because everybody is in agreement that home life is just as important as work life. As an English girl, I love having a bath, or bath, as people from London might say. I love it. I think relaxing in water is one of the best things that you can do. But in France, bathing is not that popular. Relaxation for French women can come more in the way of having a great skincare routine. And of course, France has a heritage of all of those wonderful skincare brands. Parisian girls from an early age see a dermatologist and have it instilled in them that they're going to have a personalised skincare routine. So then when Parisian girls become adults, of course, they've got their own skincare routine and that time for themselves in the morning, that ritualistic moment to massage their face, to do their skincare. You know, French women don't wear a great deal of makeup, generally speaking, because it's all about the skincare and having that mindful moment to oneself in the morning and then again in the evening to give oneself self-care. And that's a really beautiful moment of relaxation for French women in the day. Of course, not every woman in Paris is an example of the relaxed Parisian woman, but hopefully you've got some ideas that you can take away with you. And if you're after more advice on Parisian life, then check out my new Paris guide in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Au revoir, à la prochaine, bye bye.